Hi everyone, Miss Janet here from the Bryant Library. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about one of my favorite children's authors, and her name is Jan Brett. So you may know her from the writer of The Mitten, one of her very popular stories, but she also has a few other ones that I really like. Annie and the Wild Animals and The Hat, which is almost like The Mitten. All the animals find this hat, and each one of them crawls into the hat to keep warm. So I love her books. I love her illustrations. It's especially this time of the year because they're very wintry feel to them. So I wanted to share with you my favorite, The Mitten. And you can get each of these books at the Children's Room at the Bryant Library. So I hope you like my story, The Mitten. And it's a Ukrainian folktale. And I love her illustrations because you'll notice that even along the side of the page, she has the story continuing. Once there was a boy named Nicky who wanted his new mittens made from wool as white as snow. At first, his grandmother, Baba, did not want to knit white mittens. If you drop one in the snow, she warned, you'll never find it. But Nicky wanted snow white mittens, and finally, Baba made them. And after she finished, she said, "When you come home, first I will look to see if you are safe and sound, but then I will look to see if you still have your snow white mittens." So off Nicky went, and it wasn't long until one of his new mittens dropped in the snow and was left behind. So it's right there. And here comes a mole to investigate. A mole, tired from tunneling along, discovered the mitten and burrowed inside. It was cozy and warm and just the right size, so he decided to stay. And now along comes the rabbit. A snowshoe hare came hopping by, and he stopped for a moment to admire his winter coat. It was then that he saw the mitten, and he wiggled in, feet first. The mole didn't think there was room for both of them, but when he saw the rabbit's big kickers, he moved over. So now we have the rabbit going in the mitten. And here comes, I think, a badger. Oh, next a hedgehog came snuffling along, and having spent the day looking under wet leaves for things to eat, he decided to move into the mitten and warm himself. The mole and the rabbit were bumped and jostled, but not being ones to argue with someone covered with prickles, they made room. And here comes an owl. And as soon as the hedgehog disappeared into the mitten, a big owl, attracted by the commotion, swooped down. And when he decided to move in also, the mole, the rabbit, and the hedgehog grumbled. But when they saw the owl's glinty talons, they quickly let him in. So look how big that mitten is getting. And now comes the badger. And up through the snow appeared a badger. He eyed the mitten and began to climb in. And the mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, and the owl were not pleased. There was no room left, but when they saw his diggers, they gave him the thumb. So it's getting bigger and bigger, and here comes the fox. And it started snowing, but the animals were snug in the mitten, and a waft of warm steam rose in the air, and a fox trotting by stopped to investigate. Just the sight of the cozy mitten made him feel drowsy, and the fox poked his muzzle in, and when the mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, the owl, and the badger saw his shiny teeth, they gave the fox lots of room. And now comes the biggest animal of all, the bear. Uh-oh. And a great bear lumbered by, and he spied the mitten all plumped up. Not being one to be left out in the cold, he began to nose his way in. The animals were packed in as tightly as could be, but what animal would argue with a bear? And the mitten swelled and it stretched. It was pulled and buggled. to many sizes. But Baba's good knitting held fast. Now comes a little mole, a little mouse. He wants in too. And along came a meadow mouse, no bigger than an acorn, and she wiggled into the one space left and made herself comfortable on top of the great bear's nose. Look at them all packed in, and now Nicky realizes he's lost his mitten. He lost one. And the bear, tickled by the mouse's whiskers, gave an enormous sneeze. Achoo! And the force of the sneeze shot the mitten up into the air and scattered the animals in all directions. And they all tumbled out of the mitten. And there goes Nicky looking for his one mitten. And on his way home, Nicky saw a white shape. There it is. In the distance, it was the lost mitten silhouetted against the blue sky. And as he ran to catch his snow white mittens, he saw Baba's face in the window. First she looked to see if he was safe and sound, and then she saw that he still had his new mittens. And all the animals are flying and running away. And there's Baba, and there's Nicky. And look how big his mitten got from all the animals trying to snuggle in to stay warm. So that's The Mitten by Jan Brett. I love that story. And if you love it too, please come into the children's room and check out this book, plus some of other Jan Brett books. You won't be disappointed. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.